Yeah, I can tell you the people of Alberta would be ashamed with the answer you just gave. That you would give billions of dollars to foreign pipelines while not
Things are heating up in Nanaimo with Justin Trudeau and the Liberals having their caucus meeting. We got a lot of clips coming out, a lot of news. We've also got Trudeau getting absolutely heckled on the street. So let's jump into this. First up, we got this clip here posted by Justin Trudeau's Ego. It says, this afternoon, Minister of Affairs Melanie Joly gave a speech about what Canadians want. Volume up and listen to her tell reporters that Canadians do not want an election. She also rudely shot down someone who challenged that narrative. I'm so proud of her right now. If you're new here, this is a parody account.
This summer was Canadians don't want elections. They just want us to do the job. They just want us to govern. And that's what we're doing. We're governing. We're taking tough decisions. Why? Because times are tough. And so, wait, let me finish. I'm speaking.
Whoa, easy there. Little forceful. Yeah, Canadians want an election. You guys know this. Just don't lie to our face about it. This is ridiculous. Just absolute liar. She learned from Trudeau, so what do you expect? I've been inspired to create a Melanie Joly t-shirt with her facial mugshot on it and the phrase, I'm speaking. Let me be clear, yeah. So yesterday I mentioned her, Alexandra Mendes. She's the one calling out Trudeau to quit. She just said that's what her constituents wanted, and here she is on camera speaking about it.
You have said that you spoke to a number of constituents during the summer, and they were talking about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's leadership. Tell me what you've been hearing.
Mostly that people think he should go. That's bottom line the message that I heard throughout the summer, and really a considerable number of people. It wasn't just meetings the writing office of 1, 2, 3 people. It was a considerable number of people that reached out and told me that. At Canada Day, it was very, very generalized. And then in August in St. Lambert, it was again, I had 3 days of a booth in a street festival, and that's all I heard.
The overwhelming message.
Overwhelming message. And when you ask people, when I took the time to ask them, okay, why do you feel that? Don't you feel that the government has been working for you and actually providing policy and instruments, if you wish, for Canada to be an even better country than it is already? And many people agree with it. I have a very reasonably prosperous constituency. I'm not faced very often with cost of living issues, but just to give you an example of climate action. So my constituents are very, very concerned about climate action, and they believe that we speak a very beautiful speech, but we're not active enough. We haven't gone far enough in climate action, and that we should be much more proactive. It's really all about the leadership, but without pinpointing a specific reason of saying, he did this or he did that.
I mean, Trudeau is a liar, and we're talking about climate action. If they really want to do something about climate, they should have planted those millions of trees they said they were going to plant, but they didn't. Remember that? There's no planting of trees. Where are they? And have a booth for 3 days, and people are telling her day after day that they want Trudeau to go? That's pretty ripe, coming from a liberal MP.
That we didn't like. It's more the general feeling about maybe leader fatigue. I don't know. Right. I honestly can't say what it is.
What about you? What do you feel about the Prime Minister and whether or not he should continue as leader?
No, I believe he is the right leader for the party. He has an incredible job in transforming this party and making us a very grassroots, if you want, oriented party, which is why I'm confident about talking about my constituents, because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be their voice.
Leader fatigue, yeah, right. It's because there's a new scandal every single day. There's literally one yesterday, $45 million. Melanie Joly's husband was a major recipient of that Futures Entrepreneur Government Program. Like, there's literally a new scandal that involves taking millions of our tax dollars that should be going to our communities and to us in different ways, going to them. That's why. It's not hard, Liberals. We all know, You guys just don't want to admit that you've been screwing us for 9 years. It's interesting. People post the most random things like this. Alexandra Mendes, dual nationality, Canada and Portugal. This is not something you necessarily look up for every single MP, but it's all on here on X. People just post all this stuff. Next up, we got Jagmeet here. He's questioned on the Doug Ford situation. So I had a video on my second channel where Doug Ford absolutely just ripped Jagmeet on his pension, called him greedy politician. So here is his rebuttal to that.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford said, in his words, "You're just blowing smoke by tearing up the deal with the Liberals and that you will not trigger an election before October 2025. So how do you respond to his criticism and criticism from others that this was political posturing?
I think Doug Ford needs to worry about delivering health care for people in Canada instead of being obsessed with alcohol. People in Ontario can't get the health care they need. They're struggling with the cost of living, and he's obsessed with alcohol and convenience stores.
To be fair, as a premier or prime minister or even a mayor, these people can do more than one thing at once because they have an entire team. You can get one guy to deal with the stumbling juice and another person to deal with healthcare and another person to deal with transportation, roads. So, I mean, sure, the timing of it may be not great, but do we really need stumbling juice in a corner store? I don't know. It's up for you guys to decide. I don't really care, but it almost shows how Jagmeet really can only do one thing at one time. That's what he's basically saying here.
I don't know any person that I've spoken to when I tour Ontario, when I'm in the communities that say that that's their number one pressing issue. They say we need to be able to afford our groceries. We need to be able to find a home that we can afford. We need to get health care. And I think Doug Ford should focus on those things instead of being stuck on Twitter. Also, my message is very clear. We have ripped up the agreement with the Liberals and Justin Trudeau. And that.
Oh, really? Did you rip up the agreement, Jagmeet? Is that what you did? Did you rip it up? He's going to be stuck on this for like another month, guaranteed.
That means we know that an election date is more likely. We are going to continue to make decisions that are in the best interest of Canadians. We're not going to be goaded by Conservatives. We're going to be making a decision that's in the best interest of Canadians on anything that comes forward. That's how we're going to manage the next session. And we're going to be talking about our plan actually in these next couple of days with our team about how we're going to continue to fight for Canadians and build a better life for them.
Nobody buys anything you're saying, Jagmeet. The party would be so much better if you just put anyone, except for maybe Laurel Collins, and put anyone else in power, and NDP would probably be better off. Laurel Collins is an absolute nut. We also got one more clip here of Jagmeet. He's asked about NDP's position on immigration. I thought this was interesting because he asked about the temporary foreign workers and all that. So not something they typically like to answer these questions. A reporter put it to him here.
The federal government is closing the taps on temporary foreign workers and has suggested that they may reduce the number of permanent residents they let in every year into the country. Can you lay out your party's stance? Do you think that the government should be slowing the pace of population growth right now?
Let me take those piece by piece. So starting with the temporary foreign workers. This is a program that was started by Conservatives. So let's be very clear. Conservatives brought this in as a hookup for their rich conservative corporate buddies. And what temporary foreign workers did was allow for workers to get exploited. It is something New Democrats have always opposed. We're a party of working people, of labor. We're opposed to the exploitation.
This wasn't an exploited program. It's been used quite well for a long time. It's only bringing people that we actually needed. It's not like these Trudeau numbers that you voted for, Jagmeet. You allowed these huge numbers to come into the country. You could have broke your supply and confidence agreement, broke that when Trudeau and Mark Miller and Sean Fraser all started jacking those numbers, but you didn't.
That temporary foreign workers and that program presents. That exploits the foreign worker, and it also drives down wages in our country. So we are opposed to that. That should be the absolute last measure. We should always find ways to ensure that Canadians are employed first and foremost before we look at any other alternatives. So that's our vision. We believe that Canadians should get jobs first, that we should not see any exploitation of people, and this program has been one that's exploited workers. In general, for immigration numbers, we need to make sure that our immigration meets our needs. That's the way it should be set. We know that we've got population aging. We know that we need to ensure that we are meeting a certain number for our population growth, and that we've got employers that are looking for workers, and we need to make sure that we're meeting our needs. Immigration should be set by what we need, and what is very clear on top of that, we need to build more homes that people can actually afford.
What exactly does that mean, that it meets our needs? What is that? He doesn't want to say. Because Poilievre has already said, like, the rate of house building is way too low compared to the amount of immigrants. He's basically said straight up that the immigration levels are coming down big time. But what is Jagmeet really saying here?
And we need to make sure that we've got the workers to be able to build those homes. That's the way we should be studying our immigration. We should not fall into the traps of conservatives that want to blame New Canadians for their own faults for having cut in the building of homes, and the Liberals who frankly fail to build homes that people can afford. That's our vision for the way we look at immigration.
Yeah, you don't even want to answer the question. That's what's going on here. 15 days after the coalition government was created by Liberals, NDP made changes to the temporary foreign worker program, removing limits. There you go. The gaslighting is crazy. They want you to ignore what you've seen with your eyes, which is a fine country under Harper, but under Trudeau is a complete disaster. Jagmeet will take some on the chin, only a matter of time. Yeah, I mean, once they get back into the House, Poilievre is going to obliterate him. There's no doubt about that. Next up, we've got Chrystia Freeland. We've got all the clowns here speaking in this circus event. This one, she gaslights Canadians on the economy, saying everything is fine.
First, just on the Canadian economy, we have had some good news over the summer. Inflation has now been within the Bank of Canada's target range for 7 months in a row at 2.5% in July. That was a 40-month low. The Bank of Canada has now cut interest rates 3 times in a row.
Yeah, only to 4.25%. Really, we need that down to like 3.25 or 3 or 2.75.
And the Bank of Canada was the first G7 country to cut interest rates the first time, the first G7 country to cut them a second time, and the first G7 country to cut them a third time. Wages have been outpacing inflation for 18 months in a row, and that is really good news for Canadian families.
What wages? For what jobs? There's no one can get jobs. Anyone who loses their job right now is screwed. You know how many stories you hear of people losing their jobs and they're absolutely screwed because there's nothing? You'd be better off to go to America or some other country and get another job than try to get one in Canada.
Families. It means they bring home more in their paychecks. And the IMF is forecasting that Canada will have the strongest GDP growth in 2025. On a eu des nouvelles.
No, it's propped up by the CPP, the Canada Pension Plan, plus just bringing in unlimited amounts of people props up the GDP. These are all inflated, lying numbers as usual by Chrystia Freeland. Next up, we got a clip here of Justin Trudeau getting called a communist pig, getting absolutely heckled and humiliated in Sudbury, Ontario. So you can see here, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Just look in the middle section here. This is Trudeau in the blue. He's going to be walking over to the side. There's a lady up here, and she just goes off on him.
Will you drink my hand holding a freedom flag?
Thank you. You had your 20 seconds. It was a pleasure.
Oh, you 20 seconds, you communist! Go, Trudeau, you're nothing but a communist pig! That's what you are! You're disgusting! You should resign!
Our political prisoners.
That's disgusting! Communist! 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 Your 20 seconds is finished! Go back to China, you lover!
Wow, okay. So if we look at that again, that translation on there I think is a little bit wrong. It says, will you drink my hand holding a freedom flag? What it sounds like she said is, will you shake my hand while I'm holding a freedom flag? And he just gives a smug response. Oh, you've had your 20 seconds.
Holding a freedom flag.
Thank you. You had your 20 seconds. It was a pleasure.
Oh, you 20.
You had your 20 seconds to take quite a few pictures or something like that. This guy's so arrogant, just so smug. Always smug. Telling him to go to China. Pretty spicy. He's not getting the message, or maybe he just enjoys being a dictator. He can't go anywhere in public now. Excellent. Disrespecting Trudeau. Now those ladies were giving him the best compliments they possibly could. She's my new hero. That guy has some balls walking amongst the very people that he screwed over. Next up, we've got Mark Carney joining the Liberals, but first off, we got Chrystia Freeland introducing that, and I want to bring this up because there's something very interesting about this situation.
Thank you for the question. I'm really glad to welcome Mark here to our cabinet retreat. He is a real addition to our team. Mark is a friend of a personal friend of very long standing. He's someone who I talk to often and whom I've talked to often about economic policy since becoming finance minister. I had a long conversation with him over the weekend. It's really great for our team to have Mark providing advice to the Liberal Party so that we can support Canada and Canadians.
So somebody left a comment saying, why do they always bring in the friends? It's like, well, it's loyalty, but like they shouldn't be bringing in their friends. They should be bringing who's best for the job. But she said a great personal friend. We know he's good friends with Justin Trudeau. What you probably don't know is he's essentially extended family of Justin Trudeau. Let me say that again. Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau are essentially extended family. They're tied. Let me show you. So if we put in Justin Trudeau, Kyle Kempner. Kyle Kempner is Justin Trudeau's half brother. So we'll just go in the images here. This is Kyle Kempner. He was on, I had this video up a couple months ago. This was when he's on Tucker Carlson. So his mother is Margaret Trudeau. Justin Trudeau's mother is Margaret Trudeau. And this guy's dad is Freed Kempner, where Justin Trudeau's dad is Pierre Elliott Trudeau. So Margaret Trudeau had him and I think a daughter. Then she left and then went with Pierre Elliott Trudeau and had a couple more kids. And one of them died. And Justin Trudeau still has a brother. Alexander is still alive. And so there's this kind of a split family between his mom. So we look at Mark Carney here. He was born in 1965. He's 59 years old. Margaret Trudeau, I think, is 76 years old. And he's the son of Verley Margaret Kemper. Right there. I mean, you're already putting the wheels together here. So that's his mom, and his dad is Robert James Martin Carney. So now if we look at this, I don't know exactly how they're tied, but Verley Margaret Kemper is probably like it may be Freed Kemper. Kyle's dad is maybe her sister or her brother or sister, like their siblings. There's something going on. I don't know how they're tied, but they are tied. At least it appears that way. If anyone knows the exact family tree of how they're tied, I would love to know. But just think about that. I mean, I don't think this is a coincidence. This Kemper is not a common last name. And Chrystia Freeland even said, I think Mark Carney is her children's godfather or god whatever. They're all tied together. With that said, we've got Mark Carney here posting today. The world is becoming more divided and dangerous, but the hard work of Canadians means that we can manage these risks and seize the enormous opportunities in the new global economy. This sounds like just a guy wanting to take our money and get rich. That's what that sounds like. He's wanting to get into, this is his step into politics now. If you look at the comments in here, they're pretty savage, including this one. This guy posted this video. We're going to watch it because this is also savage. Welcome to politics, Mark Carney.
Mr. Carney, you met in March the president of China, a country, of course, that has one of the worst environmental records in the world, a country that has one of the worst labor standards in the world. Human violations, including forced labor camps. Yet Brookfield is one of the most substantial investors in China. Is that advice that you've given to Brookfield to basically invest in China rather than to invest here in Canada? And what would be the reasons other than return on investment and violating some of these standards that are so important to us Canadians?
So just so if you're not aware, Brookfield Asset Management, Mark Carney is like the board chair, or whatever of that company. He's just sticking it right to him.
Well, the first thing, Senator, is that Brookfield follows absolutely all the conventions of modern slavery, both in the UK, which predates those in Canada, but obviously we have them here as well, and has very clear and effective on-the-ground policies to follow through the supply chains for the provision of clean energy technology, because China, as you may know, but just in case you don't, China is also the biggest supplier of many clean energy technologies, as well as far and away the biggest investors in those on the ground in China.
China is also one of the largest, I think second largest population on Earth now. I think India surpassed them. So they're bound to have more of everything. I like Leo just stuck it to him there. So this guy here, Leo Housakos, is conservative. He's one of the only people in the Senate that really has got some pep in his step. With Don Plett retiring, we need Leo more than ever now. So here's Count Chocula himself, Mark Carbon Tax Carney, announcing his new role with the Liberal government.
And it's an honor, and let me start by saying it's an honor to accept this role as chair of this new task force on economic growth for the Prime Minister, for the leader. It comes at, in my view, a decisive time for our economy, for our country. The world is becoming a more dangerous and divided place, and at the same time, the global economy is being transformed.
It's always the world with these guys, the global economy, global this, like, they don't want to address anything at home.
Every major economy is accelerating their energy transition, and being low carbon is becoming a key driver of competitiveness. We're just at the start of a revolution driven by AI in every sector, every economy, every company. We can no longer rely on the world's rules-based trading system. We have to become an essential trading partner. We can't win an industrial policy arms race. And in all of that environment, we have to grow, both in the short term and for the long term. We need real policies. We need solutions, not slogans. Action, not indifference. And I was very pleased by the discussion in the room, the ideas and the energy of the members, and look forward to working with them to develop the strategy.
So basically, Mark Carbon Tax Carney here is brought in as a special economic advisor. For a guy saying we have this transition global, this and that, I mean, it seems LNG is one of those major transitions that would really help reduce greenhouse gases. You know, send that over to India, China. He's totally against that. And I have a clip of that. I've got this clip here of Pierre Poilievre absolutely destroying Mark Carney on exactly this.
Do you support the Prime Minister's decision to veto the Northern Gateway pipeline, Mr. Carney?
I understand the veto of the Northern Gateway pipeline.
Do you support it?
Given both environmental and commercial reasons.
Do you support it?
I think it's sensible. I wasn't involved in the decision, but I think it was the right decision.
And yet your company has invested billions of dollars in oil companies in both Brazil and the UAE to buy pipelines. You bought billions of dollars of pipelines as a company in the last 5 years. Do you support those investments?
Mr. Poilievre, there is a global energy system, and one of the issues, I'm trying to explain a bit of how the economy works. One of the
Thank
issues,
you so much.
Well, it may help. One of the issues for this committee in thinking about a sustainable transition.
Do you support it?
Where is Canada's role in those as energy transitions from fossil fuels to renewables? And in different jurisdictions, into different geography, it matters. It matters, and this is a fundamental point.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. This is a fundamental. You're finally getting to a point that is relevant to this committee's inquiry.
What you're saying is you oppose pipelines in Canada, but you support them in the UAE and in Brazil. That's what you've actually said.
There are specific.
That's your double standard.
It is not a double standard.
It is a double standard.
No, it's not.
You make billions of dollars off foreign pipelines, and you shut them down here at home, putting our people out of work.
That you are a representative of the Canadian people, and one of your responsibilities, incling at this committee,
is to fight for Canadian jobs, and not foreign jobs like you.
Exactly, to fight for Canadian jobs. And the types of Canadian jobs that are durable and are going to move forward.
Right.
I grew up in Alberta. I know the innovative nature of that.
Well, go try to give that answer back in Alberta, because I grew up there too, and I can tell you the people. I can tell you the people of Alberta would be ashamed with the answer you just gave. That you would give billions of dollars to foreign pipelines while not allowing Canadians to build pipelines here at home. That is the kind of elite Davos hypocrisy.
Mark Carney just got wrecked. Yeah, he's already had a taste of Poilievre. Maybe that's why he didn't want to get into politics. Doesn't want to go against him. He does not want competition. Yeah, that might be why. Poilievre brought up here is he's a part of Brookfield Management, asset management, buying pipelines in the UAE and Brazil, but then won't support Canadian pipelines. It's a double standard. Next up, we've got a clip here of Twitchy. She's asked about barring MPs guilty of treason from the next election. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have them in government because they're... Do we have to say this? They're treasonous.
What would be that? Do you believe that the MPs who collaborated with the foreign powers should be excluded from the nomination process for the next election?
The Minister of Public Safety has been at committee today and answered questions extensively on the report. Our government takes foreign interference very seriously, and law enforcement is working
hard on this issue as well.
Yeah, that wasn't an answer. The answer should be, yeah, we're going to put them in jail where they belong. It's probably because it's them. That's probably why. She's definitely on the list of treasonous scumbags. Yeah, probably. We've got this clip here. It's a sad state of Canada. It says, yikes, Ontario food banks usage reaches 8-year high. And Canada's hidden poverty rate is actually 25%. That is appalling. 25%. 1 in 4 people are in poverty in our country now.
Revealed Canada's hidden poverty rate of 25%.
You're looking at close to 10 million people. And, that's 6 million more than the official poverty rate.
The study also found 30% of young people, more than 44% of single-parent households, and 42% of renters can't afford at least 2 of the items on the deprivation list. And almost 20 revealed Canada's hidden...
Yeah, so, that's where it cut off there. But, look at these numbers. 30% of 18 to 30-year-olds, 44% single-parent households, 41% renters. Like, come on, Trudeau. Like, this was not our country before he got into power. He's absolutely obliterated us. The only fix for this is to cut taxes. Start with a carbon tax to benefit all the people. Yeah. Jumping in my group, let's see what memes we've got today. Make Canada free again. Yeah, that's we're far ways from that. Roll up the rim. Oh, new prime minister. We've got conservative influencer Cat Canada has announced that she'd be suing Trudeau Liberal MP Mark Gerritsen after he accused her of being paid by the Russian government before backtracking and saying he never made such a claim. Yeah, so he has kind of run his mouth and now Cat Canada is suing him. Well done there, Mark Gerritsen. I'm not really surprised. Mark Gerritsen's always the guy who runs his mouth. I just showed a clip like 2 or 3 days ago of him saying like, oh, let's go outside the building behind the bike racks, then say it to my face. Like, it's just like he's like threatening, I think it was Kevin Vaughan, the independent, to fight him outside of Parliament. Justin and Jag at Wasaga Beach. Air Canada heading for orderly shutdown due to labor dispute with pilots union. This has been kind of going on for a little while now. Obviously, this is not sorted yet. Justin Trudeau, 3 official ethics violations, 3 known instances of blackface, called protest. I think there's more than that because there's probably 4 or 5 of those different events. But anyways, called protesters the N-word and froze their bank accounts. He's never going to live that one down. Invited actual Yahtzee players to be celebrated in Parliament. Pierre Poilievre, no ethics violations, never wore blackface, met with protesters like a true leader of a democratic nation, has never invited an actual Yahtzee player anywhere. Things could be worse. Re-elect me and I'll prove it. Yeah, no kidding. So Mark Carney stepped into the ring here. He's a special advisor. Now, even though he can't actually take over Freeland's job, I wonder if Trudeau is just going to start pushing him Freeland's work as finance minister. This is what I'm really wondering about. Freeland has been in hot water for a while now, so maybe this is Trudeau's way of getting him in there and kind of doing her job. We'll see. It's interesting times here. We've got, Jagmeet's broken his coalition. We've got Blanchette now, betraying Canadians, and looks like he's going to sign up an agreement of some sort with Trudeau to keep him in power. This is going to be more chaos for another year, all the way up until October. You got to wonder if Blanchette there will be supporting Trudeau to extend the when the election is, so he can get his MPs those golden pensions too. There's a lot to think about here. You got to wonder how many Liberals are going to snap and call Trudeau out before his time is up.